Right now, we know that leaders need to be making the right decisions in order to move forward. And you and I all know that we have seen leaders really struggling with what's going on. Part of that is not having the right information. And certainly when this whole virus thing started, we didn't think it was that bad. And so there's a few stages, and I've got a presentation next week that talks about the different stages of this. I have named the phases on what this looks like. And part of this is we didn't have great information, again, coming out of China. We didn't have great information in terms of numbers, and nobody really realized how big this thing was. And some of my medical practitioners were saying things like, well, we thought it was going to be okay because it just didn't seem that bad in the beginning. And now, of course, we certainly all know that it is far more than that. So right now, leaders need to be making the right decisions. And you all have heard me say that in the world that is ours, we've got a series of concentric circles. And I like to use my concentric circles. And I just want to go through these with you. So right now, we've got to have the right people in place to get things done. And then that circle, which is the attraction, recruiting, retain, mentor, managing, evolving, and develop our people, that has to merge with our technology and tools. What kind of innovation we have, what kind of advancements are we making, what kind of resources are we using? And that, where those intersect, that's a leadership issue. And then if you go from technology and tools on down to managing the uncertainty, which is what we have right now. Are we in a recession? The answer is technically no. Does it feel like one? The answer is yes. Remember, a recession is 2 successive quarters of negative GDP growth. Now, we haven't even been through 1 quarter and people are calling it a recession. So technically that's inaccurate, but certainly it feels that way when we see the unemployment rates drop so or increase so dramatically, and the unemployment rates drop. People are furloughed, being temporarily laid off. People are applying for unemployment in record numbers. So again, where technology and tools merge, that and with managing the uncertainty, that of course is leadership. And then where managing uncertainty meets business growth, in order to push our business forward when we come out of this at the end. So again, phase 1 is, this can't really be happening. Isn't this just kind of like the flu? Then into phase 2, oh, we've got to hunker down for a while. Wow, I need toilet paper. And then phase 3, you've got to be kidding me. I'm supposed to be homeschooling my kids, working from home, managing everything else that's going on, creating new products, new services, catering to my customers, finding the right information, and oh yeah, homeschooling my children. And my spouse is also, my partner's also working at home. I can't get to any appointments. Nothing's getting done. We don't have enough computers in the house. There's not enough broadband. There's not enough internet access. Again, how are we supposed to be focusing on business growth when we're managing this uncertainty? Again, there's leadership. And then where business growth meets people, again, that concentric circle is all leadership. And this merges together to create the value that we have in the marketplace. So what does this look like when we're looking specifically at research? Well, right now, many people feel as though they have information overload. And information overload is everywhere. If you watch the news, you would think that there's nothing going on at all in the world except this virus. And in fact, many people are having to continue their lives. Many people are still going to work. It just feels as though we're getting this information overload. And I thought it might be helpful to bring in one of my favorite people and the smartest guy I know in terms of how do you distill down all of this information that we are getting. How do you find the right information? And what do you do with it once you've found it? How do you not get stuck down in rabbit holes? So just for a quick second, I'd like to introduce you to Sam Richter. Sam, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mary. I really appreciate being part of the program. And your checks in the mail, one of the things we all know is we need to diversify our revenue streams in these types of tough times. So Mary and I have a deal. Anytime she says, quote unquote, smartest person I know, she gets $20. So that's a pretty nice deal. So, you know, keep it coming. In all seriousness, it's really an honor to be with you, and look forward to sharing with you a few tips and ideas. Real briefly, I travel the world and work with organizations of all sizes, everything from 15, 20,000 person big keynote programs to full day programs with Fortune 100 companies on how to find information, primarily in the sales area. So I practice kind of the father, if you will, of this concept called sales intelligence, but it's all about how do you use the internet to find information in ways that 99% of the planet has no clue how to do. And then more important, use that information to build relationships, finding the right person at the right time with the right message. But of course, all the techniques I teach, and we'll be talking about this in a moment, are perfect for those who want to make sure that what they're looking at online is credible, objective, and something you can actually use.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that, again, right now where people are feeling uncertain, we want to reach out to people, but I don't know about you. I am tired of people sending me these messages going, hey, I know everybody's having a really tough time. Holler if I can, help you. And by that, they mean they want to sell me something. And that to me is a huge turnoff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the message I teach is you have to be relevant. And I would say, pre-virus, being relevant in sales, in relationship building, and business development, and fundraising was a nice to have. Now it's a must have. People are so sick and tired of being quote unquote sold to by irrelevant people, getting messages that are completely irrelevant. People are fine with, if you provide value, incredibly relevant value. Hey, here's an article, here's a thought, here's an idea that might be able to help you based on what I know is something you're dealing with. And that's really, again, the power of relevancy and objectivity in finding information.
That's exactly right, Sam. And this is what I want you to be talking to the group about in another couple minutes, is how do we find the right information at the right time for the right person? Because this is what our leaders need. And especially I was talking to Pamela a little bit before the session started, that right now my medical clients are suffering badly, because you'd think, it's paradoxical to me, that at a time when we need more and more medical people, we are having to furlough medical people because we can't do what's termed elective services. And right now, hospitals and medical practices, they have to be cognizant of things like costs. It would be lovely if that wasn't a factor, but medical practices have to run like a business. They have to have revenue in order to keep operating. And if they don't have the revenue because they can't do, they can't take out your kid's tonsils, or they can't fix your bunions, or, maybe you need to be seen and you need some x-rays, but you can't do that right now. It's just really tough. And it's paradoxical that at a time when we need medical professionals, we are furloughing them. And many of my professionals have had to lay people off. We're only doing about 20% of the normal surgeries because, again, we're all prepared for this virus crisis. And leaders need to be making the right decisions at the right time, using, again, that right information. So so Sam, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, why does finding information take so much time?
Well, because there's a lot of it out there. And just real briefly, kind of how Google works. If you think of Google as like a big vacuum cleaner, all it's doing is it's finding websites with words on the page, and it flips on the vacuum cleaner and sucks up those words in the page and stores those words in the vacuum cleaner bag. And so if you go into Google and type in a word like virus, well, Google's pretty good with its AI, and it will give you the most relevant, obviously related to the coronavirus and COVID-19, and the top results, but you're also going to get tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of results related to all things virus. And so proper searching, the technical term for it is Boolean logic, by actually a 19th century mathematician named George Boole. But it's actually a series of complex math search syntaxes, again, using math to get the great information. And we can show some of that in a little bit here. But the good news is most search engines are pretty good at delivering great results. So you go in, you type in Italian restaurant, Denver, you're going to get some pretty good results. But there are some certain things you can do, especially when you're looking for very specific pieces of information to really laser focus in and get exactly what you want. And there are some simple techniques that I can share with you in a moment to do that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because sometimes if you type in virus, you get a computer virus, not the COVID virus.
Right.
And I don't know about some of you all. Most of you I know pretty well, and you all know that I have the attention span of a toddler in a candy store. So when I start to do searches, I get wildly distracted. I wind up in all kinds of other rabbit holes, and something that should maybe take me 1 or 2 minutes to put together, all of a sudden I've now found out, the population of a small city in Italy because I was searching for an Italian restaurant in Denver. We get so distracted by these things. So, Sam, one of the questions I wanted to ask folks here is, what distracts us when we're doing searches, and how much time per day are we spending by simply doing searches, getting distracted, figuring out what's needed? Because I know that you've done it too, you know, and I'd love to ask people in the chat box if we can address these things. What distracts you when you're doing searches? Is it because you find something else interesting? Is it because your past searches are popping up and it's showing a past result that maybe you're not getting? So folks, if you are here and you can type in the chat box, you know, what are your ways, your favorite ways to find information, but also what is distracting or what sometimes wastes your time when you are trying to do searches? And we are going to discuss those again in just the next 19 minutes. So please go ahead and type that.
If I can jump in on that while people are typing in, what most people don't know is the typical person spends about 2 hours a day looking for things online. And it's not just looking on the internet, because the same techniques that I teach can be used when searching your network drive, when searching your computer, or goodness knows how much time do we spend wasted looking for a specific email. So these techniques can be used in all searches, but and now most people think I'm crazy. Oh, there's no way I waste 2 hours online. Track it sometime. Just put a little legal pad next to your computer, and as you're searching for something, 30 seconds here, 45 seconds there, and as you said, getting lost down a rabbit hole, 25 minutes later, it's 2 hours. For most people, it's probably even longer than 2 hours. So, you know, if we think about how our lives have been stressed out over the past 20 years since search engines have been around, I mean, think about it. We used to, you know, our parents worked 9 to 5 jobs. Nobody works 9 to 5 jobs anymore. You know why? Because you're probably wasting 2 hours a day looking for things online, another 2 hours a day on social media. All of a sudden, you're working a 12-hour day. So it's a big number.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And I'm not sure, Sam, if you can also see the chat room.
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Yeah, it's great. And you're absolutely right. All of a sudden you're searching for something and then a YouTube video pops in and then Carolyn sings karaoke and then other people are doing, you know, you pop on an ad, and most of us know what the difference between an ad and not, but sometimes when we're doing this on our phone or going fast, it's kind of hard to tell. And then there are a ton of videos that pop in that as Allison says, they scream for our attention. Mm-hmm. And like Chris, by the way, Chris Carter is one of the world's greatest estate planning attorneys. And she was on a webinar with me last week talking about estate planning functions. And she and Carolyn, by the way, sort of share a dog. So people are related here, but this idea of we love doing research, and we learn stuff every single day. And, you know, you think about the amount of information the average person had in the Middle Ages. In their entire lifetime, they had a certain amount of information, new information, because, well, it was the Middle Ages. We get more than that in one single 24-hour period in modern times. So because of that, and, you know, Sam, this leads to sort of brain overload as well.
Well, I think it does. I mean, again, there's just, it puts just so much in our brain, and there's so much going on. You know, just think about all that pressure and then all this information, and how do you distill it out? How do you filter out what's good? What should we listen to? What shouldn't we listen to? That doesn't even include social media. We log in and people are quoting stats on Twitter and putting this quote up and that quote up. You know, as Abe Lincoln said, one of the real challenges with the internet is filtering out the good information. I think it was either Lincoln or Washington. It might have been Washington. I can't recall.
Because I think they invented the internet as well.
They did, yep.
Yeah, exactly. So how can we be better prepared for decisions? And as leaders, and you've heard me say this before as well, that we as leaders need to make decisions based on facts, not opinion, not conjecture, not assumptions, not feelings, but we need to make really good decisions based on facts. Mm-hmm. And part of that, if we're going to make good decisions based on facts, we need to have factual information. So Sam, one of the things I wanted to, before we get into the search function, I wanted to ask you, you know, how can people figure out if the information they're finding in a Google search or in a Chrome, whatever search, is real? How do you figure out if it's real?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, look at the source. So not so much the source of the web address, but the source of the study or the source of the article being referenced or the source of the person being quoted. What I recommend you do is you grab the name of that source. Let's say it's the 2020 study on viruses. Put that quote or grab that study, go into a Google search, paste that study in exactly as it was in the source that was referenced. But the magic trick is put that study within quotation marks. When you put something within quotation marks, and when we share my screen in a moment, we'll see what I'm talking about, a search engine will treat those words within quotation marks as a single entity. And what we're looking for is that study being referenced by many other credible organizations being things like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. Now, again, people might say, oh, the New York Times, they've got a certain slant. Yes, they do, we know. Fox News has a certain slant. CNN News has a certain slant. However, if they're citing a report, if they're citing an expert, and not just that one organization, but multiple organizations are citing that same expert, that same report, again, not a guarantee that it's credible, but a higher likelihood that it's credible, versus when you do that same thing, paste it in, put it in quotation marks, 3 sites show up, or the person being quoted, yes, they might be a doctor, but they might have their doctorate in ancient Roman history. Well, they're probably not the source you want to use for information on COVID-19 vaccines.
That's a really good point, Sam, is that sometimes, multiple sources can help us validate things.
Sure.
And one of the other parts on this is, as leaders, we need to consider both intended and unintended consequences when we're making good decisions. And sometimes I think that's hard to see, especially right now where I think people are feeling a little bit myopic and we're circling the wagons and we're operating from a sense of fear. So in that regard, one of the things I'm trying to help my clients with is what information can you provide that makes you more valuable during this time to the people you serve all the time. And that, I think, is where, when we get into your triggers, I think will be very, very helpful for people, because we have to help people really distill down some of the information that can be very confusing, that can be just a lot out there. And by providing our teams with useful information, we become more valuable. And again, I think right now, we've got an opportunity to serve people like never before. And so I would love in the chat room, if people are thinking about this, what are some areas where you could serve your clients? Like, I know we have people from the technical side, from the medical side, from the legal side. Where are some areas, or what kind of information could we be providing our clients right now? And that, when we get into the search engine, we can address that as well. So, Sam, this is where I think you pop in, and that is, where can we find the right information on things like a merger? Let's say I'm going to call one of my clients, and maybe I haven't talked to him in about a year. He's one of my manufacturing clients. I talked to him last April. Everything was going great. Manufacturing was up. He's got several factories in China. And, I just kind of want to reach out and check on him, but I also want to provide valuable information. Sam, what can I do? So I'd like to stop my share right now and turn it over to you and get you to share your screen and show us some of the tricks that you have taught me to use. I am in no way an expert, but I love these tricks that you teach me, and this is what I am using, and I wanted to share it with my friends.
Yeah, I'm going to just go through some things. These are obviously, this is not my 1 hour, 2 hour presentation, but I'll give you some tips and tricks along the way that will help you find some information. Mary, can you see my screen okay? We should be on a Google screen?
Totally, yes.
Okay, so first off, let's go back. Let's say I want to find some valuable information on COVID or the virus. What most people do is they just go up here and they type in COVID, and they get 6.5 billion search results. And some of these are really good. Some of them, who knows? So a couple of things you can do is you can use, and this is some of the math that I'm going to teach you, but I might go in here, I'm going to put COVID-19 within quotation marks. When you put something within quotation marks, the first thing you're doing is you're telling the search engine that all words within quotation marks must appear in that exact order every single time. Let me just give you a quick example of that. So if I go in and I search for Karen Jane Anderson, right, I'm going to get 71.3 million search results. Because what Google's doing when it's searching for Karen Jane Anderson is it's saying, find me every search result in the world where the word Karen is in the page, Jane is in the page, and Anderson in the page. Now, you're going to get a bunch of Karen Jane Andersons, but you also might get Karen Smith, Jane Johnson, and Phil Anderson. So a little thing, so we go from 71.3 million search results. All I have to do is put that in quotation marks. Now we're telling the search engine the words within quotation marks must appear in that exact order. We're treating it like a phrase. A little thing like that, we go from 71.3 million search results to 69. So
Oh, wow.
just that little technique is an example of what I'm talking about. Now, getting back to this, so I'll go COVID-19, put that in quotes, and I might type in vaccine or, now when you type something in or in all uppercase, cure, I'm saying, okay, so Google, every result you deliver must have the phrase COVID-19 in it and the word vaccine or the word cure, one or both. When you put or in all uppercase, we actually expand our search.
Now,
So
why the
you do that.
parentheses, Sam?
I'm sorry?
What do the parentheses do?
Well, the parentheses help us separate out. For a short search or a short, what's called query like this, we really don't need the parentheses. But the reason we might want to use parentheses, especially when we start doing longer queries, is to keep our ors separate. So just as an example, I might say vaccine or cure, New York or Denver, just as an example. So when I'm using multiple ors, I might use parentheses to kind of separate out the ors. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that's really interesting.
So going back to here, we're going to start to get pretty decent information, vaccine or cure.
Okay,
now,
real quick, Sam, why does the or have to be in caps? Is that because that?
Sure.
Yeah.
It tells us when you put something within caps, the word preceding or the word following the or, now make sure there's a space before and after or. When or is in all uppercase, then we're telling the search engine it's either this word or it's that word. It's one or both of those. So it expands our search. By the way, everything I'm showing you will work when you're searching your computer, work when you're searching your email. So these are really neat time-saving techniques. Let me show you one that I think you'll love. Let's say,
and. So
yep.
It's not just or that you can put in caps, it's also and, right?
Well, I wouldn't use and. I would use you don't really need to use and. Some scientific search engines, journal search engines use and. Typically, Google will use a plus sign. So now the most powerful one is the minus sign. So let's kind of eyeball these results really quickly. And let's say that I'm not interested in the word clinical. Just for whatever reason, I'm not interested in the word clinical. So right now I've got 695 million search results. I'm going to go in here and minus out the word clinical. And when you attach a minus sign to the word, any search result with that word in it will be removed from your results. And I can do this about 30 times. So I eyeball the word. I don't want the word MERS. So I'll go back up there and minus the word MERS. And I can continue to go down. I don't want the phrase French doctor. So I can go in and remove the phrase. So notice the minus sign touches the quotation mark on the phrase French doctor. So I'm removing that entire phrase French doctor. And so I continually go down and go down and can filter my results. So that's one way to do better searching. A couple other things that are really cool is you can limit your search to a specific type of document. So for example, if I want, we're going to go back and I'm going to show you the example here. So COVID-19 vaccine or cure, 695 million results. We kind of eyeball the results and it was like, well, am I really going to believe an article from Wired magazine? Maybe. I mean, it's a legit news publication. Or The Scientist. Sounds good. Never heard of it. Because there's nothing stopping me from creating an online magazine called The Scientist, right? And just make up whatever I want. NIH.gov, probably pretty good. So you can also go down here and you can limit your search to specific websites or even types of websites. So for example, if I want the word COVID-19 vaccine or cure, and I only want to search, NIH.gov, I can tell Google by typing in a site colon, limit your results to only, so I'm looking for the phrase COVID-19, the word vaccine or cure, but you're only allowed to look at the NIH.gov website. And now we bring it down to 33,000 results. Every single one is an NIH.gov website. Or I can even do a type of website. So let's say I want, well, what does the military's take on COVID-19 vaccine or cure? I'm going to limit my search to only .mil websites. Now I get 24, a little bit better than 65.9 million. And notice that every single one is on a .mil website. So that's where we can get some really cool information. One last tip I want to do is a lot of people are posting research reports, white papers, documents online. You can limit your search to those types of documents by using what's called a file type colon search. So I'm going to file type colon PDF. So Google only find me the phrase COVID-19 because it's in quotes. The word vaccine or the cure must be on the results, but you're not allowed to search the entire internet. You're limited to searching PDF files. We can do that, 242,000, but look at the results. You know, now we're starting to get some really good information. Who.int, NANG.org. Again, I'd have to look at what these organizations are. The Milken Institute, CDC.gov. So again, I can remove file type :PDF and get 697 million search results. And again, maybe it's good information from The Guardian, maybe it's good information from MarketWatch, maybe it's good information from Wired, or I can add that file type PDF. And now I'm starting to look at theoretically better information because it's going to be white papers, research reports that have been uploaded to the internet as a PDF file. Again, we still have to look at these PDF files with a little bit of skepticism, you know, who put it out there, who was the source, who was the doctor, same thing I talked about earlier. But by knowing these techniques, site : file type : limiting our searching to specific types of websites, we can really laser focus our search and hopefully find the credible, objective information we care about.
I love that, Sam. So just real quickly, a couple things that popped up in the chat box. Chris asked, Chris said, I need a cheat sheet on this. I happen to know you have, I happen to know you have a cheat sheet. Sam, how should they get that from you? Do you want them just to email you?
Yeah, what I'm going to do is they can email me, or Mary, I can send it to you. You can you know, share it with everybody who's attending today.
Okay, or Chris, we're also going to have his contact information at the end, and for a while.
For sure.
And folks, the way that I really discovered the magic of all the things that Sam does was we did an event in Kansas City, and he presented this, and it absolutely made my mind explode. Carolyn asks, is there a way to get results only from today in terms of date sorting? Yes.
Yeah, let me show you how to do that. So,
okay.
I'll give you an example. So we're going to go back. We're going to get large numbers. So we're going to take out the PDF. So we get 697 million results. Now watch what we can do. Over here on the right-hand side, we can click on the Tools button. When we do that, a drop-down menu appears right here, and I can sort. Not only can I get the past day, I can say only show me results that have the phrase COVID-19, the word vaccine, or the word cure that came out in the past hour.
That's so cool. That is just so cool.
Let me show you something else. You're probably also familiar with Google News, right? So I'm going to reset this here, clear this out. So COVID-19 vaccine or cure, and I can click on news articles and I can get news articles. But again, we get 234 million. And Google News misses out on a lot of content because it kind of filters things out. It tries to keep it relevant. I've actually built a website. In my teaching, I talk about in sales and in business development, it's incredibly important to be relevant. One of the things that I talk about is the first words out of your mouth in any meeting should be about the other person. When you walk in, any email, any Zoom call, any social media post where you're connecting with somebody on LinkedIn, what does Carnegie say? Dale Carnegie says the sweetest sound in the English language is what? The sound of someone's own name. Well, the second sweetest sound is something of information, or some piece of information that you know the other person is particularly proud of. Google News does an okay job. I built another news search engine. Now, I don't tell Google that I exist. So the only people that know that this engine even exists are people that attend my programs or Mary's programs, but it's called You Got the News. And you can go in here, you can type in a company name, you can type in anything. So I can go in and I'm gonna use me for an example because I don't want to embarrass anybody else. I'll type in Sam. Now, in my search engines, you don't have to do any quotation marks, no need for minus signs or anything like that. I've already built that in. So Sam Richter, speaker, and I can go and find news articles. These would be Google News articles, and there's only 3 of them. So this is what you're going to get from Google News if you research me. But we can go back to You Got the News, and I can click on More News. I'm going to go down to Archives. Find me old articles about Sam Richter, the speaker, and we can go get 300 results. And I can even sort. I can say, well, find me press releases about this guy. Or find me social media posts about this person. Or find me blog posts about this person.
See, I think this would be really helpful, Sam, if I was getting ready to get on a phone call with somebody and I wanted some quick background on them.
This is exactly how you do it, right? So if I was, give me the name of a hospital that you're working with, Mary. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, so the hospital would be St. Luke's in Boise, Idaho.
St. Luke's.
Mhm.
And is it apostrophe S? I'm guessing.
Yes.
So St. Luke's Hospital, and I'm going to put in here
Boise.
Boise.
Uh-huh.
And that's all I got to do. No quotation marks, no anything like that, because I've already
Mhm.
programmed the system. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say past month. So limit your search results to St. Luke's Hospital in Boise in the past month. We'll see if there's any Google News articles. So here's a few. 1 week ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 hours ago. I can go and look at the More News button and pull up a bunch of information. And again, notice that it's sorted. It's pre-sorted the past month.
Mhm.
I can even do press releases. Why I like press releases? Because obviously this is something that's important to them. So on press releases, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go back to any time. So if they're willing to tell me this, that means it's important to them, what's going on in their world. So that's how you would use this. And of course, I've got even a more powerful search engine that we can show you in a little bit. But this is free to use. You got the news.com, free to use for everybody. And again, it just helps you get access to better news information. Again, if it's prior to a sales call or you want, one of the things I recommend right now is you just find an article that's important to a prospect, to an existing customer that has nothing to do with your business. That's the key here. In my training, I call this the value-added follow-up, and I tell a bunch of stories about how this has worked, but real quickly, you find an article, something that's of utmost importance to the other person. In today, it might be, hey, saw this article on how other companies are doing home officing. Or it could be, hey, stumbled across this article about your industry, saw this article about your competitor, and immediately thought of you. So the key in the value-added follow-up, Mary, is it can't have anything to do with what you have to sell. It's just, hey, I was thinking about you, stumbled across this online, immediately thought of you, hope all is well. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. That's the value-added follow-up.
I love that, Sam. Now, you got the news.com. This is free?
Yeah, this is completely free. Yep.
Okay.
So no reason to log in or anything like that.
Okay. So this is something that Allison says, she's got a hardware store, and she oftentimes, when you're hiring somebody, you kind of want to, if you're trying to screen candidates, you want to know what kind of person they are on social media. And you could do this. You could just type in their name and then click on their social media. Like you could type in Carolyn Strauss, like you're going to hire her, Carolyn Strauss, and then hit on social media.
I want to be careful doing that live, but I know what you're saying.
Well, I know Carolyn, so I think she'd be fine. It's mostly going to be dog pictures. But you could actually see, like in Sam Richter, so what kind of things they post on social media, so that so you could kind of see their online personality.
Yeah, so I can even go in here and do things like Sam Richter, and I don't even know if this is going to work, so we'll give it a try, but birthday, and click on social media posts and see if anything shows up. So there's other Sam Richters in the world, obviously. So here's some other Sam Richter birthdays. But you can type in other terms. I'm a big lover of pugs. I don't know if I ever posted about pugs or not. We'll see. But no, nothing on pugs, but probably some dog photos I can find on there. But yeah, you can do those kinds of things for sure.
Okay, perfect. So let's say it's me and I want to do a little bit more in depth. So let's say I'm like, you got the news. I use it all the time, but frankly, Sam, I owe you money, so I need to be paying you to do something. Do you have like a more souped up search engine?
I do. Thank you for asking. I've got a base version, and then I also build custom versions of search engines. They're not particularly search engines. They're more Google search overlays, if you will, where I tell Google, you're only allowed to look at this and you're only allowed to do that. And I do that. Let me go here. I'm going to go up to the sales triggers. So you should be seeing what's called the sales intel engine. This is kind of the base version. So the business and sales intel engine. And what I've done, I've got a patent on this based on what you type in and based on what you click. I dynamically build a 30 to 50 word Boolean search syntax to really focus us down. So a sales trigger is what's going on in the other person's world where they might actually want to take our call today. The example I use, Mary, is if I were to call you right now and say, hey, Mary, this is Sam from Sam's Roofing Company. I'd love to come out and give you a free estimate. Well, you're going to delete, hang up, go away.
That's right.
But if you just got a hailstorm at your house and now all of a sudden water's starting to leak through your kitchen, hey, this is Sam at Sam's Roofing Company. I'd love to come out and give you a free estimate. Well, now I'm your new best friend.
That's right.
So in sales, in business, a sales trigger is usually a disruption. So for example, when a new executive is hired, statistically, that executive will spend 70% of their entire annual budget in the first 3 months. Why is that? Think about it. When an executive is hired, they've come in to make change. They're going to look at their suppliers, their vendors. Anytime there's a merger, a purchase, company moving, company receiving funding. So for example, let me show you a couple of sales triggers. So I can go in here, Mary, you're up in Denver. So I can say Denver, and I'm going to say industry healthcare. Find me any leadership changes in Denver in the healthcare industry in the past year. And so all of these are great sales triggers. Not only because, again, we're not going to do the irrelevant cold call. Hi, my name is Mary Kelly. I was wondering if you're looking to hire a consultant or speaker. No.
That's exactly what I sound like, by the way.
I know. Now we can call these people because we read the article. Hey, congratulations. I saw that you've been named the CEO of Envision. And the reason I'm calling is I saw in your article, you focused on these specific 3 issues. Funny, but I've got 40 years experience solving those 3 issues for other people. So you're relevant. So things like new partners and products, layoffs and closings, new construction, remodeling, expansion, relocation and moving. So here are healthcare companies relocating to Denver. One of my favorites happens to be published funding activity. So I can go in here and I want to find out, well, who's receiving money in Denver right now? Because I can guarantee you this company that received $2.5 billion in venture capital, I'm pretty sure that the VCs didn't go to that company's CEO and say, hey, we're going to give you $2.5 billion. We'd like you to invest that in an index mutual fund. No, they're saying you need to spend this information, or you need to spend those dollars. That's what we're going to use this information for. Other kind of things we can do in here, news and meeting prep. It's basically the same as you got the news. Company search, we can get company details. I love this. This is basically a backdoor of searching LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's super powerful, whether you have the Sales Navigator or the free version, but it's kind of limited and it's slow. So I can go in here and I can put in company name. So I can say St. Luke's. I want to find, they're in Boise, and I want to find everybody at St. Luke's in Boise with the word marketing as part of their job title. And here we go. Boom, seconds you can get it. Or I can even be more expansive. I can say, well, find me everybody in San Diego. And this is stuff, what I'm about to show you now, that you can't even do in LinkedIn. San Diego with the word chief in their job title. Now, my daughter is a Zeta Tau Alpha. She's graduating from the University of Missouri. She said, Dad, you know, is there an advantage of being part of this sorority? I said, absolutely. Why? I said, because you can network. Because if my daughter is going to look, do an informational interview in San Diego right now, there's no way if she cold calls people that it's going to happen. But because she's a member of Zeta Tau Alpha, we can go in here and find people who have the word chief in their job title, live in San Diego, and were a Zeta Tau Alpha sorority member, quote unquote, my daughter's sister. So now when my daughter calls, instead of just saying, hi, I'm a recent college graduate and I'd like to come in for an informational interview, it's, hello, Mrs. Morgan, my name's Maddie Richter. I'm a Zeta Tau Alpha at the University of Missouri. I found your name. I'm going to be moving to San Diego. I know this is a stressful time for you, but I'm wondering if you might have a half an hour for an informational interview with one of your sorority sisters. You see the difference when you're able to find really good information. Contact information. We can go in here and find people's email addresses and then phone numbers. Marketing opportunities. Find me all the reporters in my community. So I can say, you know, so you mentioned earlier, estate planning. So I want to go find podcasters who might want to interview me for estate planning. Or right now, you know, again, it's a little morose, but hey, if I'm a business reporter in Denver, I might want to do a story on, you know, this COVID thing is kind of hitting us in the face on our mortality. What are the things we need to do today to prepare for an estate plan? And so you can go in here and find a reporter in Denver who covers business. And even things like List Finder. So I can go in here, find membership directories, attendee lists, Chamber of Commerce lists, and even I make the value-added follow-up really easy. So I can go in here and type in a term. I can type in healthcare and find me current industry trends as it relates to healthcare. So 7 healthcare industry trends. Mary, if I were you, I'd click this out, send it out to my clients. Stumbled across this McKinsey report online and immediately thought of you. Hope all is well. Recent survey results. You know, stumbled across this online. Or again, even cite colon, I can say, well, find me the word virus, but only search for that word on 3m.com. I can look for spreadsheets, PDF files, or all websites, limiting my search to 3m.com. So that's the sales intel engine. And I also build them custom for different industries. So for example, here's one for financial advisors. where I can go in, same types of triggers appear, but I can even go in here and say, well, find me doctors who graduated college in 1975 who live in Denver. This tells me who might be retiring. So it gives me a list. It's not for sure who are going to be retiring, but I can find doctors in Denver who graduated in 75. They're probably going to be retiring soon. Or obituary announcements or recent promotions. Find me everybody with the word president in their job title located in Denver who have been recently promoted, because this is called a money in motion activity. These people are going to have stock options and 401k plans. Mary, I've been talking a lot. I'm so sorry. As you can tell, I kind of get excited about these things.
No, I love this so much. I wrote down that McKinsey report. I'm going to do that because one of the things I am using the search, the Intel engine for right now is a lot, as you know, a lot of my leaders right now are having to communicate more with their people, and they want to be sending out good information that's valuable information. And frankly, they are up to their eyeballs in work. So
Right.
I've got several firms right now that I'm telling you, Sam, I'm making money on what it is, you do. And what I do is I go into exactly that research function in the business intel engine, and I find them something valuable that they can send out to their team. And all I send is a short paragraph. I'm like, hey, saw this McKinsey report on current healthcare trends. It was from February, but I still think paragraphs 3 and 5 are very, very relevant. Hope you're having a great day. Like just something they can send out to their people that's good communication, that's valuable.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because right now we're inundated with nonsense, and our leaders need to know exactly what's going on, but they also need to be sharing good information, not just the nonsense that many of us are getting. So I know that you can talk about this all day. We have gone a little bit over time, and I do want to get to your slide where people can get your information.
Super.
So if you can, I'm going to share my screen. If
Okay,
that's
I'm going to stop sharing then.
Okay. And I'm going to hop back into this so that we can get back into this and get your contact information, which is here. Yeah. So folks, if you want Sam's cheat sheet on how to do this, it is sam@samrichter.com. And again, we put together some cheat sheets on leadership and a way to do the sales triggers back in December when we worked on this project. And it was a huge honor. And I realized Sam's brain is way, way bigger than mine. So please take a picture of this. We're also going to be sending this out to everybody who registered for this. You are, of course, welcome to share this. We are all in this together, and we want to make sure that you are getting what you need to make really good decisions. And people like to, this is the next series that we are doing. Next week, we're going to focus a little bit more on leading teams, and then surviving and thriving with Meredith Elliott Powell. And then we're going to talk about how we can get through to that 5th stage of this crisis. And that is focusing on our business, making better brainstorming decisions, and focusing on our bucket list. And folks, you know how to get hold of me. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to stay on the line for a couple minutes. If you want to be unmuted and just ask a question, Sam will stay on as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But folks, thank you so much. We're going to cut this here. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.